Meet Joe. He is a gig worker trying to make money using his car. He uses multiple gig apps all at the same time to maximize his earnings. But this can be difficult and dangerous while driving. Sometimes the requests come in so fast, Joe can't pick and choose the best trips to take, which can result in lower pay or lower rated disruptive passengers. That was until Joe found Maximo, the automation app that helps gig workers accept and decline trip requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and rating, to determine which trips are best suited for Joe. When a trip request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will compare the trip details to Joe's filters and then determine if it should automatically accept the trip, decline the trip, or allow Joe to decide by showing the per mile and per minute rates. When a trip has been accepted, Maximo will turn off the other apps that aren't on a trip. Once Joe finishes a trip, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to reduce his stress and frustration, drive safe, and focus on the important tasks. Check out Maximo at www.maximoapp.com.
Everybody to the Thursday Rodeo Roundtable. And yeah, we're one person short, but we seem to have 5 people.
We got a starting 5.
Let me introduce him. We'll see who we're missing. I'm not sure who it is. I know we got Kim because she's never missed one. Now, I've missed 2 or 3. Kim's
4 or
never
5.
missed one. Gary, you know it's been 5.
Nobody's counting though.
Nobody's counting.
Nobody's counting.
Hannibal. No, wait. No. But he'll be here. We got Gary. Gary'sApps.com. And I don't think I said for Kim Side Money Plans. And Hannibal threw me off, you guys. And we got John Theory TV. So we also have a special guest here tonight. You guys know we don't do this every week anymore, but we have Pedro here. And
hi, I'm Pedro.
And Pedro actually was. This is what I was just thinking of when Hannibal was late. That Pedro actually was on this one other time, but it was for Atlanta Delivers, and it really. And we were more focused on what was going on in the UK. And that's why I was really like, we've really never had you on because we've never really talked US stuff, but you filled in for Hannibal on that day.
Yeah. So, he just texted me, he says he's coming, but with Hannibal, you never know what you're going to get. He's the cool guy. His channel's blowing up. He's a big deal now. So we got to, you got to roll the red carpet off for Hannibal.
No, this plane leaves without celebrities all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
we usually do.
This is
wait
not
for
Delta.
Hannibal,
this is more like Spirit here.
Wait for
Spirit.
I don't know. We usually wait for Hannibal. Come on. Even
no,
if
Steve, the one time we thought you wasn't going to be here, me and Kim was going to start at 7:59, and then you was like, no, I'm going to be there. Oh, okay.
We were right on that.
It's your channel, and I'm not even waiting on you to show up.
Hey, look at we know we don't start till 1 minute after because Kim's alarm has to go off first.
Yeah, I didn't hear it today. I'm usually used to hearing Kim's
I didn't
alarm.
hear it either.
I think
It's
the only
because
her mic was muted.
Mike was muted. Tell me.
See, I'm literally when I'm looking at the show
much makes
notes
more
and I'm
sense
getting
now.
ready and whatnot, I'm like kind of waiting now. It's like the dog experiment, the Pavlov's dogs, and like you've kind of got me ready for this. I'm like, okay, where's the bell?
That's why something fell off. Okay, I get it now.
She's been training you this whole year, Steve.
Now she took the clock away.
Now she took the clock away.
Let me say hi to whoever is in the chat so far. What's up, Thomas? What's up, Pit Star Productions? What's up, Red? What's up, Gigan? How are you? So you're still out working. What's up, Bud Soda? Hey, Grandpa. And by the way, guys, after this is over, Dashing Grandpa has moved his live that he does to after this show. Because he can work a little later now that the light's out longer. So go over and check that out. It's always a nice calming live. I know I plug it every week for him, but I enjoy his live very much. Hi, Ceci, how are you? Hey, JP, what's going on? Hi, Marissa. And for right now, there's more people watching, but hi, lurkers. What's up?
If you're lurking or watching, you're in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button.
And Hannibal, is it your internet or?
He's probably lurking too. He's lurking, or he's like combing his hair or brushing his beard or something like that. That's what he does. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just start going without him. I was stupid enough to put Hannibal's story in the front, because, and here's why though. I wanted to get this kind of out of the way because I did watch you talk about it last night too, Kim, and I knew when you guys were like, this sucks, but hide the kids, all the stuff you were saying, because these are some pretty wicked things, and I usually leave this to Torsten. I've known Torsten a while. He covers that space extremely well. Drivers who are attacked, passengers who are attacked. I mean, all you need to do is go to his channel and you'll find all of them that were done that day. So we don't hit on that much here, but I find it odd. I'm not picking on Florida, but there's 3 Florida stories over the last 6 days that are pretty disturbing. Like every one of them is disturbing. I mean, it could be any state. I mean, it's not picking on Florida. It's just weird. You got
coincidence.
I mean that we had the Florida couple that was doing Instacart, and they ended up getting shot at because they went to the wrong address. I mean, first of all,
but I mean, there's lots of states that happens in.
It can't happen.
There just is. I mean, look, Chicago people shot every day.
Yep.
Yeah, but Chicago is one of the most brutal cities right now, period. And they have a lot of problems. And I'm not saying that you're not correct, Gary, but they have a lot of problems that put them in a very different realm.
Well,
they got those kid gangsters literally beating and killing ladies.
I know there's been those things that happened there, but I think the coincidence is that it all happened in Florida this time.
Yeah,
I know I've heard of stories like the Uber and Lyft drivers and delivery people. Yeah, have been killed in a lot of different states, but
yeah, I thought Chicago maybe it will. I thought once Beetlejuice left that it would start to clean up. It
hasn't been that long yet. You got to give it time.
Do you think that when things happen in Florida, the media runs with it more because it's Florida?
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
click.
oh, Florida man, Florida woman did this. Like, I think it's like a thing now, right?
People are going to click when they hear Florida person does anything.
They're just jealous of Florida. That's all it is.
Well, you also have Florida and Texas. You have a ton, but you have Florida and Texas are probably the 2 biggest states to be fighting any type of legislation on gig workers. So to throw these kind of stories out there just maybe helps push that agenda a little bit if that's what you're looking for. But I mean, I got to say, there's the couple, and then their stories, like they know about the neighborhood or whatever, and but then there's the Florida DoorDasher who just it was like a day or 2 later, got kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and they just caught this guy like yesterday, right? I think.
Couple days,
or at least
ago, I think,
who they think. I think he's pleading guilty or whatever. I think he's even admitted it. But this is the big one out of all these, and all these happened in such a short time that I guess part of me is wondering. Like, I do feel like I don't sit down and watch TV news or whatever, but I go through enough news in a day where I'm starting to wonder. Yes, violence is going on pretty heavy everywhere, but why are we seeing it? I almost feel like it's an imbalance to the gig economy now. Like they're literally becoming the gig
economy, just by the nature of the job, is going to be at risk or unintentionally, but just because we're out and about. A lot of times, if you're delivering to a place for the first time, you may not know that neighborhood or those cross streets. You may end up in a bad situation. I mean, there's sometimes I know when I'm looking at an app, I think we know, like, we have an area ideally where we want to go to. But gig workers especially when they're new to it, there are some situations where I think they're more vulnerable than the average person.
Yeah.
So getting back to these stories, are we going to talk about these stories, or are you still waiting on Hannibal for that?
Well, I mean, I was getting into the one right now about the Florida man. This demonic one. I mean, I see that some of the articles are saying gang affiliation, and he very well might be, but I don't care about any of that. I care about how sick and twisted this person was.
Talking about the one dismembering Uber Eats driver.
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I was actually listening to another article that I hadn't heard yet in an audio format, but just before we came on here, and it was even listening because it wasn't an AI bot voice. It was actually somebody reading, and it felt eerie. And I was saying backstage, it reminded me of the bath salt stuff that happened in Florida, for whatever that was. And just like why the Uber Eats driver too, and why, like, is it what John said? Is it just that here he is, there's the guy, and he came to the house, and this will be easy?
The scary
Go ahead.
The scary thing about this one is, to me, it could have been anyone at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, it was a decent neighborhood. It was literally just a guy delivering an order in the wrong place at the wrong time and fell victim to this sick individual. So that, to me, that's the scary part, because I don't know what he could have done differently because he literally was dropping off the food, and from what I read, got yanked into somebody's house.
Oh, wow.
But so here becomes one of my questions I need to interject at this point, because I heard what you said about it last night, and so I wanted to go a step farther. So I'll even ask I'll start with Pedro on this one, because I want to know, like, we've talked about this before, but has anybody revisited, or do you still have a plan for if something goes wrong? If you do rideshare, you still have a plan of, like, literally what you do in the moment? Because if you don't, it's going to be 10 times harder to do something.
Well, I feel like you have to be sharing your location. That has to be a big part of it.
Right. But like I've told Gary, if I'm on the highway, I'm going to gun it. And if they tell me to stop, I'm not. I'm going to put it into the wall.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, you're still in danger.
Have a plan. I know that to some people, you're like, dude, you're being extreme. No, I'm not, because most people who get gunpoint as a rideshare driver end up dead. And so I'm at way better odds taking a chance than following what they want me to do.
So for this first story here, I'm going to defend my Florida state. The guy's actually originally from Indiana. He's not from Florida. And so, but reading it,
Indiana, man.
One good thing about it, though, is he dropped off his wife before he went and did this last delivery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is a positive on it. Go Knicks.
Hey, they handle their business.
Oh, we'll wait for you. Don't worry.
The show's going on. It's all good.
Like slam something real loud, like you just wasn't just showing up.
Do your sound test.
I know. Yeah, right now. Sorry, I apologize. I'm usually on time.
You're all good.
Pedro, I'm usually on time.
You're usually on time.
I'm usually on time.
Yeah.
Right, he's usually more on time.
But Hannibal, we are into the stories about these three stories. I know you made some shorts. I've been looking into them, and I know this isn't something we normally talk about, but I thought a lot of times you kind of have, like, the psychological view on it, and I wanted to see, like, what your take was on, is this just the world and this is just the fall over to gig economy, or is this happening to gig economy way more?
Well, when you look at it in terms of chances of something terrible happening to you, we have more of a chance of happening if you're outside amongst society, as we're delivering things to people, and we're in places that we don't normally usually would be if we were just doing our usual routine. If we went to, like, one place to work and came back, we're going to new environments all the time. So as things are becoming more unhinged, I think we've been saying that for the last 3 years. I feel like society is becoming more and more unhinged. And unfortunately, since we are always in new environments every single day, the chances of something bad happening to us is higher. I mean, look at the rideshare and all the crimes that happen on rideshare, the carjacking.
But I feel like that's what I'm kind of getting at. I feel like it's kind of even to eats now, or to food delivery.
I think on a scale from 1 to 10, I think it's more of a dangerous profession than people give it credit for.
Yes, it is dangerous, and we say that, and sometimes people kind of scoff at that idea. It means dangerous. You're just delivering something, but we are in environments that we're not familiar with. I mean, you may know the neighborhood, but you don't know everything. And the situation that happened with the man in Florida, how can you avoid that? What can you have done differently? Sometimes evil people are just out there. There's nothing you can really. I mean, should we just all stay in our houses? Stop?
No,
doing,
but that's
gig
why.
work?
That's why, as you came in, I was bringing up the point. I was just about to get to ask Pedro that does he have a plan?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm gonna take a little. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit. To Kim's point, I think this could happen to anybody. He got pulled in. So at that point, whatever plan you might have, it goes out the window, right? It's such a tragic thing. For me, it's tragic. I don't look at it. It doesn't deter me from doing gig work. It puts it in my brain as far as like, okay, if I'm going to be in a sketchy area, I'm going to have to think a little differently, possibly, or maybe not even take an offer or take a rideshare. But so I have a little bit of control there. But like, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. For me, I think the most dangerous thing we do is just drive. And we don't talk enough about that. Like the amount of accidents that actually happen, coming in and out of parking lots, coming in and out of your car. We're speeding sometimes, where we might feel rushed. So for me, that's the most dangerous thing we do, in my opinion.
Right.
I think these stories are extremely unfortunate. But honestly, I'm not sure what a delivery app could do to make us feel better or safer, or us in these particular moments. Like that could have happened to me today. I dropped off an order. I bent down. You put it down. You go to take a picture. Somebody could have grabbed me.
Therein lies my point. Like, so, okay, that's a dog on your state, Gary. But it's luckily you're in 2 states.
The guy wasn't from Florida.
All right. Well, he was visiting. He decided to do this crime there, so
he was on vacation. He was on some bath salts, and
he knew better than to do it in his state.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess my point is like, are people getting like? I mean, with all of this going on, shouldn't you be on triple guard? And I'm not saying that something could have been done, but maybe because they pulled him in. Like, was he bending over, opening the bag and taking a picture and really worried about that? Should he maybe open the bag, pull the food out, step back?
I always step back weird. when I knock on a door. I don't stay right in front of the door. I always take a few steps back. I don't know what's happening. It could be something simple as a child running past you, or like a dog. Like, you want to make sure that you have a good idea of what's coming before. So you shouldn't be so comfortable that you are bending over and you're not able to at least react to a certain extent. But even then, I mean, we all saw the picture of that guy's face.
Yeah.
The guy who committed this.
Yes.
There's people out there that, I guess if that guy saw him before that happened, he wouldn't have been so close to bend over and do all those things.
Yeah.
So I do agree that, tragic things happen, and there are other things to worry about. As Pedro said, making sure you drive with some sense, that you familiar with your surroundings. Don't rush. Those type of things can definitely save you, someone's life, your vehicle, someone else's vehicle. So yes, we have to have our heads on a swivel. Definitely. We can't kind of glide through gig work because it's easy and not be at least cognizant of your surroundings. I think that's definitely something that
I will say, with like Nova Dasher, if it's a leave at the door, I don't ever knock unless it says to in the things. I don't knock. I set it down. I back up, take my picture. If I'm working at nighttime, which a lot of these crimes seem to happen at night, I always try to make sure that my headlights are facing the front door when possible. And then that way, because I've seen people, they pull up, they leave their car all the way out in the road, and then they walk all the way up the driveway. No, I pull in the driveway, I'm pointing my headlights right at that front door.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, and see, there's Gary's. Like, I'm saying everybody should, like me with Rideshare, like, when we've talked about this, and I think that even some of the people didn't really think about it, and then they were like, okay, I get what you're saying. Like, are you ready to, if somebody pulls a gun in the back, are you ready to deal with that and go, okay, What do you want? Okay, I'll take you where you're going. Because most likely, you're not going to live. Have a different plan. I mean, I've said I'll watch for a cop on the highway and run into him.
That's why I deliver food and not people.
Well, yeah, I think rideshare drivers definitely are more familiar with that because you have a stranger behind you. So, like you guys, Gary, Steve, Pedro, you guys have done that in the past. And when you're doing a lot of food delivery, I think a lot of food delivery drivers haven't done rideshare. So they're still, they probably avoid doing rideshare. I don't want a stranger in my car, but you're delivering to strangers. So you still have to have that. And some neighborhoods are quieter than others. Like I'm in the city, so everything's always happening. You always have to make sure you're looking behind your back. You're always making sure you're, there's.
I think I'll take it a step further too. I think you want to make sure you have some basic idea of like some basic self-defense. You may not have to be, a master at fighting, but at least know how to escape. Just some basic things. I mean, be somewhat prepared. Have some knowledge of some things you could do.
Yeah, I mean,
can I ask you guys a question? I've had in the video that I made about the gentleman that dismembered the guy and all that, right? People are asking me, in my opinion, on Pedro, do you think gig workers should carry weapons? And regardless of the state you're in. And I don't know how to really I feel like I don't know what that answer is. Would that have helped that guy? Maybe, right?
I feel like my answer is if you feel comfortable with, you'll know if you need, like me, I have a taser on me. I have mace, and not pump mace. I have spray mace. And I've actually used mace like in the wind and just to see, because they tell you to use one. So I mean, like, make sure you do it. Make sure you've pulled it out and you've sprayed it. Because I mean, you might spray it right into your own eyes. You're probably going to get some anyway, but minimize it. You make sure that if you have a taser, mine is pretty loud and it's big. If you have a taser, be ready to use it. Don't turn it on and think that the noise scares them, because it doesn't anymore. You got to be willing to jab them.
But you got to test it on yourself too to make sure it actually works.
Well, I'm gonna just
Steve wouldn't let me test him on. I'm just saying. He said he was gonna let me test him. He wouldn't let me test him, so we don't know if his taser actually works.
Kim, do you carry anything? I don't think we've asked, or John. I know at Paige, I don't even know if you carry anything.
I got these mitts right here.
Got these mitts.
I carry mace with me. For me, if you don't feel right doing a delivery, don't do a delivery. No money is worth your life or the risk of doing any delivery in any neighborhood that you don't feel comfortable doing. But me and my husband, we have a check and balance system because he does DoorDash too. So especially when I'm out, even at nighttime, like DoorDash is a little easier. Like I can screenshot the delivery address that I'm going to and the order that I have, and I send it to my husband, and then I always text him when I'm done with the order, so that way he knows, okay, she's going here, the order is done. So it's kind of a check and balance, and he does the same thing when he's out. So it's our own check and balance system. If someone grabs me, then I don't know whether it's going to do any good, but at least he knows where I'm at to find me. So
well, with the previous story with the man who assaulted the woman, the family was able to track her because she was still connected with them, either the phone and talking to them on the phone. So that is important, actually. Just even having some semblance of a area of where this potential crime could happen is so much faster. I mean, I don't know if that show 48 hours. I think it's basically they're saying that when something happens, the cops have about 48 hours to figure this out, because the chance of it figuring out the crime drops considerably. So the faster we know where driver is, the better.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's almost like we need a device too, because I mean, you're just lucky if you still have your phone after one of these scenarios. Like,
but we're also we're lucky we're on the same cell plan, so we can also track each other's phones as well. So I feel like we've done, at least on our end, I think, the precautions. I mean, I just, besides having mace in my car, I keep it on my keychain, but I take my key, I never leave the car running ever. I always take my keys. Keys can be a weapon on itself. You can stab someone in the eye with keys. Keys can be a weapon. So always take your keys. If I'm inside and I'm waiting on an order, I keep my doors locked at all times. I mean, yes, someone can smash your window, but it still limits the exposure. So there is stuff that you can do. Now, whether it's ever enough or you're in a bad situation and you know what to do, that's a whole nother
Say to answer Pedro's question, I'm not a fan of people carrying while on delivery or rideshare because 99% of the time they're not trained.
Yeah, that's
They
my
just
that's
aren't.
my issue.
They're
too.
not trained.
They have to be
They
trained.
they might go to the gun range every now and then, but they're not trained in crisis.
Right.
So somebody gets in the back car, they're going to jack you from the back car. What are you going to do? Just start firing behind you?
Yeah.
Or even
mean,
worse,
yeah.
worse, you don't know what you're doing, and they get your
your gun. It makes
So
it
it's-
10 times worse. So I'm not a fan of that. I am a fan of tasers, knives, some kind of deterrent like that. I'm just not a fan of guns per se.
Yeah, I mean, here in Colorado, a lot of people have concealed carry permits, and that was
Same thing in
before the gig
Arizona.
economy. Yeah, I know you too, John, in Arizona. So like we kind of out here,
Right.
like a lot of people have them. So most people, probably about half people, maybe not half, but a good amount of
Arizona's
people,
also open carry,
people have a
too.
gun on them every day. You're not allowed to go into a bank, and you're not allowed to go into
Banks, schools, federal buildings.
Yeah. But other than that,
Walmart
you can
says
go
that-
everywhere.
Walmart has a sign that says "Please kindly don't" on the front.
Yeah.
Well,
But I see people open carry Walmart. So.
I think that's just them asking, though. I don't think that.
Well, they're asking. They say "Please kindly don't." But
Yeah,
people
well, I'm
still
not gonna
do.
leave it.
But there's guns in the Walmart, right?
Exactly.
No, there's not
Yeah.
handguns
No.
inside Walmart
Oh, no,
anymore.
it's rifles.
Just rifles.
Shotguns,
Oh, okay.
or rifles. Yeah.
You know
Just
what?
rifles.
Running away. You don't
know,
necessarily have
5Ks, that's the other
to
thing.
do any fisticuffs. You don't have to do try to be Jackie Chan. You could just run.
So,
I'm
that's
great at running.
Part of
I'm
my plan. Yeah. I
Yeah,
used to
I'm
run
flight
5Ks
school. I'm out there.
sometime.
Yeah, if something goes wrong, I can scream. Like,
Can you
doesn't
do
matter,
more
I'm
than a
man.
mile? That's my question.
Well, I mean, that's
How
all
about
you're.
more than a mile.
Believe it or not, that's all you're supposed to do, anyways. It's not like you're supposed to get control of it and then wait for the police. No, you're supposed to get yourself out of harm's way
Mhm.
and then call the police.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people they don't do it correctly because they're either all in or they're not in at all.
Like, take the car, whatever,
Yeah.
man. I'm out of here. Like,
Yeah.
And see,
I
that's
guess
my
I
thing,
guess
too.
I still
That's my
stand
thing.
by-
whatever you want.
If I know that all they're going to do is take my car, I'm giving up my car. They want my wallet, they're getting my wallet. I can replace all that.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
Let me
so-
ask y'all a question. Does it matter if it's a small, frail man like me, Gary? Are you really worried if I don't have a weapon? Or are you going to try to fisticuffs me? Does it matter if the person, or is it automatic? Like, just take my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, if like,
No,
Are you sizing them
first
up,
off,
Gary?
No, what I'm saying is, like,
I do because, like, I mean, okay, let's say, first, I don't think anybody on this panel is bigger than me. So let's say Roy, I know he's bigger than me. He come up to me, he wants my car. He probably has the means to be able to physically damage me.
Mhm.
You do not. But you come up to me with a bat and you demand my car, you're getting my car.
Right.
There was
You
a
know.
case. There was a case with and this man passed away. You guys probably seen it. Maybe a year or two ago. He was either Uber driver or Lyft driver. Two teenagers got into his car. One had a taser, and he was trying to fight them off. And during the fight, someone pressed the gas. He was either slammed into. He basically died from this. And I thought too, like, if two teenagers came in trying to carjack me, I probably would fight them. Like, what are you doing? But they did have a taser. And I don't know if he wanted to just let them have it. I mean, in hindsight, I guess obviously he would have been living if he did. But when you see teenagers, and teenagers are carjacking people now.
Yeah.
Like, do you fight back or do you let them have it?
But you have insurance. Why fight back?
Well, I mean, like
For
we were
me,
talking
I'm-
about Chicago. Look at Chicago. They're not only jacking your car, they're killing you too, just for the fun of it. And these are kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was two girls that did it too.
Yeah.
Two,
I mean, they're just
teenage girls.
yeah, they're just, and it's not the only occurrence either. This is going on a lot there. It has been for a long time.
Yeah, for
And
me
since
though,
the reign of Beetlejuice, it has been. So
for me though, like, I'm 5'2", 115 pounds. Like, I have no chance in
She's
any
not 5'2".
I am too 5'2".
Just saying.
What do you mean, Gary? She's taller than that, or
I'm like, oh, I'm taller. I'm like 5'4".
I'm just wondering.
But anyway, I have no chance in any situation unless I just give them whatever you need. Here you go. Have at it. I'm not putting up any fight whatsoever.
I guess my thing is everybody should have a plan, though, even if it is Kim's. She's just gonna go to the ground.
It's not about police blaming you, Bud Soda.
There's just reality.
Most of us have full coverage insurance anyways, so your car's covered. So there's no don't risk your life for something that's covered by insurance.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, is your car covered?
Yeah, stolen vehicle.
No,
I got full coverage.
I mean, Bud Sodas.
Oh, I don't know about Bud Sodas, but
Listen, I don't think Bud Soda knows about Bud Soda.
You better do. Better figure it out.
Yeah,
but I guess my whole takeaway from these articles is not that anybody did anything wrong. Like, what a dummy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, gosh, how did he not get away? Get all this. I'm just saying everybody should maybe just think through a couple scenarios and how would you deal with them? It won't happen to you probably.
The way I do it is, what would I do if I wanted to hurt somebody in that situation? I mean, you got to think like a criminal. Because I mean, like if I'm walking up the door and I see a dark alleyway and there's two people standing in the garage and they don't say anything to me, I'm most likely going to say something to them to see if they want the food. I'm not going to walk past them and go to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also say that, I see this all the time, and I see it in people like in my neighborhood. Even my neighborhood's fine, but as you go north a bit, it gets a little sketchier. Not sketchy, but sketchier. And I see people up there like walking around, like looking at their cell phones. They don't live there, and they're walking back from the house or something, looking at their cell phones. Like, your eyes, dude, if you're not at your house, your eyes should be up. You should be looking around,
especially late nights.
Yeah, you should know your surroundings at all time. Are there other people who look like they're having a fun time picnicking in a park, or is it dark and there's just some sketchy characters out? And if there is, they notice that kind of stuff. They notice if you're like looking down and like screwing around with your phone.
Never close out your order until you get to your car. Take your picture, get back to your car, and close out the order.
Yeah, inside your car.
Don't start closing it out as you're walking back. Your head's down. You're not paying attention to your surroundings.
And you're alerting the customer earlier too, by the way.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you're here. Okay, let me grab you. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess the other
way safer than me. I am not. I do all the opposite of all of those things. And I deliver to the hood. And I don't know. Maybe I do better. I got to start. I like Kim's process of letting your husband know, okay, this is where I'm going. And then when I'm done, I'm going to text you so that, if I do that with Madison and Madison doesn't get a text, now she knows where I'm at and she could, call some people, call the cops. I think that's really smart. So I need to do better myself.
I was even thinking those air tags. That's what I was thinking about for you, Kim. Like, the ones that can go on luggage, because they can also be set up as
like your little personal
as Find Me.
Yeah.
Because that way, if they were to grab your phone and throw it or whatever, you could have
That's
that like
true.
in your pant pocket or something.
Yeah, that's true.
And then your husband still absolutely can find you.
Yeah.
Have it in your sock
And
would be the best
another
part.
thing is be
Never
on
find it.
be on the phone with somebody, be on Discord with somebody.
Like the lady that was kidnapped. She was on
Be
the
live
AirPod.
streaming.
Yeah.
I'm religious about my AirPods. That is the one thing. I might not be on my phone all the time, but God forbid, my finger is almost always on my phone anyway, but my AirPods are always glued to my ear 24, I don't want to say 24 hours a day, but whenever I'm driving, every single minute I'm out.
Mhm.
You're that person with ear pods.
Oh, I am. I totally am. You can hear the alerts better. Maybe in my old age, I'm having a hard time hearing, but you can hear the
It's
alerts.
like part AirPod, part hearing aid.
It's still not okay though.
Steve, this comment's for you, by the way.
What's up, Sergio?
What up, Sergio?
Sergio,
Yeah, get the
Yeah. What happened, Steve?
I don't know.
I seen the emails go out. I got my email today.
Yeah.
No,
Hannibal
I
was gonna.
now.
I thought Hannibal hand delivered it. That's why he was late.
Yeah, right.
But okay, let's get out of this. I just kind of wanted to make sure everybody we've all seen the stories, but I was wondering how many people have really thought about what would I do? Because it's just, I think a lot of people I see read it and they're like, dude, horrible. How horrible. But they're not. I mean, we're out there doing this stuff, and I mean, these, like, I think it was Red said, you know, Ted Bundy didn't live in the hood. Psychos are everywhere. It's the truth, man.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. And these days, especially, like, even if you know the area you're in, just be aware of your surroundings. You know, like, I don't know, keep your chin up.
I'll tell you what, I rather deliver to the projects than deliver to the middle of a farm in the middle of nowhere. Like, hands down, I'd rather.
I agree.
Strange.
I'm too, and it's not because I'm worried about getting shot. I'm worried about some farm animal attacking me.
Probably all that.
It's no like
all that freaks me out.
Yeah, all that. Like, I pulled up and I deliver to farms around me too.
Yeah,
and it's every time I go like, fuck, I know they're gonna have a dog.
Wait a minute,
running from across the field. Yeah. So I leave my car door open so I can hurry up and run back to my car and get in it.
Wait a minute, Gary, you have farms in Oklahoma?
Yeah. Believe it or not.
So, Kim, can you help move us out of this dark spot though? And
I would love to, because we're gonna hate on men right now.
I know, and you know what? I hope you saw my reply to you that these articles have been going for a while now.
They have been.
I'm
That's
kind
right.
of, yeah.
We've talked about this briefly, I think,
I'm over it.
the year that we've been doing this. But it kind of is funny every time, just because I'm the only woman here. So it's kind of fun to have, like, hate the guys articles. Anyway, moving on. So there is a TikToker, shocker, that says everyone is right who complains about male shoppers. And this was DoorDash, by the way. The woman said that a man could not find her yogurt. Dun, dun, dun. So this lady did a order on DoorDash, and I guess the gentleman was shopping for her, and she asked for 4 Greek Dannon yogurts of tiramisu flavor. I didn't even know they had tiramisu flavor, to be honest with you. So the guy, I know it does sound good. The guy said that they were not on the shelf, and he takes a picture of the shelf, sends it to the customer. The customer looks at the picture, and the tiramisu yogurt was right in the picture. So she texted the guy back and said, my yogurt is right on the shelf. Can you please get me the 4 I requested? So she got the order, and the guy still only gave her 2 instead of 4.
Okay, but here's my thing. Like, okay, honestly, is it just guys? Honestly.
Oh no,
Yes.
it's everybody.
Come on.
I would.
Look, I want to start
yes.
being the person. No, it's not.
They're bad. I'm sorry, guys.
Let me just
Guys
finish.
have the word.
Go ahead.
Let
Go
me
ahead, Kim.
just finish this last part. So, because the comments were actually kind of comical, I actually went into it. They were basically saying, where is that? One commenter said they always give you wilted produce.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
they. I thought we were in some kind of woke culture, and like now they is like a pronoun. I mean, you're not even supposed to use it anymore.
They is a
Idiot.
they. Them. I'm not making fun of them. I'm not gonna get canceled. So, what was that, Kim?
What?
What other comments they had?
Yeah, what else about us?
Basically, that men don't like to shop for feminine products. They said that they can't find items right in front of them. They give bizarre substitutions, and then sometimes they refuse to do substitutions in a lot of the cases. That's it.
Okay, I can only say like 2 out of those 5 things I do.
I've ordered food. I order groceries regularly. The worst shoppers are men. So good thing my wife is not here. She would rant for an hour about how terrible Instacart shoppers are, and usually they're male. They said bad produce, don't communicate properly. They're in a rush. They putting items in the wrong bags. They'll put heavy things on top of bread, like the bread being the bottom of the bag. It's bad. I'm not saying all men. Clearly, the reason why I stopped doing Instacart, I took too long to look for things. Like, I would get anxiety if I didn't find exactly what the person wanted. And I realized this is not good for money. Like my time is money. So that's one reason I stopped doing shopping, because I would just sit there all day looking for the right thing. Because I know if I had someone shop for me, I want them to put the effort in. I think a lot of us men we're in a rush. We have blinders on, and sometimes we don't see things. So that's just my view on it.
I give you 1 minute per item is what I give you.
So this is, as a man, this is like my nightmare order.
1 minute, out of stock.
A bunch of makeup items and then a bunch of different like assortment of like all these little, cases of lipstick. You gotta look, it's tedious.
It is tedious. That's why I don't do it. I realize that that's not my thing.
Like, let's just be real though. Some of the items women ordered through shopping, they should just go get them damn selves. Like, I don't know how to put it any other way. They just should. I don't know what a Flexi silicone nail is. Like, go get that shit yourself.
Well, we'll order you one when you're out here, Gary. We can get down together. We'll do a triple stack. Order on Instacart. We'll get some furniture. We'll get some women's cosmetics and some groceries. See how they do.
Claire says, "Go Google it."
That's it.
I think men are mostly overall a little more. We aren't as patient, and at the end of the day, I think women are better shoppers if we're talking Instacart or whatever. Like I had to go to Target yesterday on a DoorDash run, and I've gotten a lot better at shopping because once you learn where things are at. But I had to find some kind of Garnier branded curl shape up elixir Monica. I was like, what the, and it was there, but I didn't see it at first because the picture didn't match, and I have no idea like what. And then I had to find some scrunchies and some press on something. I'm like freaking out, like, I don't know where any of this shit's at, right? But I had to be patient and find it. But I think overall, men are worse shoppers than women on the apps. I totally agree with Hannibal on that.
Sadly, I do too.
Wait, I'm more surprised that he said he was patient.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it too, but I just wanted this to be noted that this goes both ways, ladies, because there are things that maybe we live in a weird culture, okay? Because we are actually able to say this, and yes, I think they probably do too. I do a show with Holly. She has been doing it longer than me, but I can tell she'll always be better than me at it. She's like got more love into the order than I'm going to put. So, okay, that's fine, but like, I can't remember the comedian, but the comedian who says, it's not a stereotype if it's always true. But just remember, ladies, that might come back to haunt you because it goes our way too sometimes.
I just know when I shop though, like I try to put myself in the customer's shoes. Like if I didn't want this, then I think I would want that. And I don't know, maybe I try to get into the mindset of the customer. But what drives me crazy, and I have a lot of patience, but what drives me crazy is like someone who does like a whole order that is off the wall, gluten-free, vegan, and you're like, what is that? And you're like, you have no clue where to even start and what aisle to shop at, and like it becomes like a whole hour project for 20 items because you have no clue where it is in the store. That's what drives me crazy.
Well, I'm just gonna say, and I'll challenge anybody on here, name one time you had a problem finding any guy product.
During the pandemic.
Well,
when it was all gone.
There's lots of stuff I couldn't find, man.
But other than that, when men order guy products, everything's pretty simple, quick, easy to get. Women, no, they got you going to some section of the store that you have to go find another woman to tell you where that section is at. Because even the people that work there don't know where that section is at.
And we don't care if you replace it with something else, without really even talking to us. Like, I got you this instead. Fine.
In fact, I prefer it that way.
Fine. If you didn't have apples, I got you oranges. Okay, that's fine. I'll just
that's fine. Yeah.
Apples, raspberries. Okay, whatever.
Whatever. Just give me something.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Newsweek article? This really bothered me. And I know it's just one incident. I know it's not the end of the world. It's what kind of happens, and we should expect it. But you see the DoorDash driver who got into an accident, and they asked his wife to finish the order?
DoorDash did?
No.
Yeah.
So,
Get outta here.
dude, check this out. So, so a door. So they're talking about what DoorDash is here, and okay, so Miranda is the wife of this man, and so this man was in a car accident while working DoorDash. So on April 15th, he got into an accident while working on the platform and was taken to the hospital. So I, quote unquote, I was at work running my shift when I felt my phone go off. Miranda, his wife, told Newsweek. I thought it was my boss calling, but it was when the phone rang, it was handed to me that it was urgent. She then found out that her husband had been in a car accident and that the car was completely destroyed.
Wow.
After arranging her job to be covered, she got a ride to the hospital. And she quotes here again, I was so stressed because even though I was told he seemed fine, I had to see for myself. I cried so much getting there. She's kind of explaining the story. And then, so he freaked out when she got there, and he said, for some reason it came to him. He's like, his head's all shaking up. He's like, oh my God, I didn't finish the order. And so, if I was her, I'd have been like, who cares?
Who gives a shit?
It's in the car that's demolished.
Yeah, like
no, I guess he had his phone, so he tried canceling it. This is him in the.
What a trooper, man!
He's like going what? And I mean, what was this? A 250 order? Come on, like
no, come on.
He tried canceling it, but he was all over the place, and he didn't know what to do. And this is his wife's quote. So I tried helping and accidentally called the customer. She answered, and I let her know. And she asked, and she wanted to, that passed. And then while she was in there, she found a contact support button, and it gave me a bot. And after clicking the option to cancel, it said that I was being connected to an agent. Okay, so now a human gets on. So in the screenshot conversation, Miranda told the DoorDash support worker that her husband was in an emergency room and she wasn't sure how to cancel the order. The support worker replied, "Too bad to know about the situation. Will you be able to complete the order?"
That's a good old DoorDash support. They're reading off a script.
Not even reading it.
I know, but even a human being can hear.
Yeah.
Dude, my husband, his car was totaled. He's in ER.
I have a problem with them even worrying about trying to cancel an order and contact support and call a customer. Who cares at that point? Like, I'm not doing any of those things. If I'm in an accident, that's the last thing on my mind. That's just me. I'm not calling.
Time out.
Well, then she goes on to say, I honestly let out a laugh when I was asked if I could deliver the food. So she showed her husband. It cheered him up a bit because he was able to laugh as well. And then here's her quote. Honestly, it didn't surprise me, but at the same time, my husband and I were both had a "Are you effing for real?" kind of in our head thought, like what is this? And even especially because a human came on. So this is the DoorDash spokesperson now talking to Newsweek, because he avoided him for 2 days, and then he finally had to give us a quote. So he says, "This interaction with our support team falls below the high standards we set for ourselves at DoorDash, especially during a distressing and scary time. We take these matters seriously and are urgently investigating."
That took 2 days for him to say that?
Yeah, and
It took
here's
2
my
days
other
for the
part.
lawyers
Do you
to
think
write
they're
that
doing
for him.
any of that?
No.
Yeah.
Third day of finding that guy and they're firing him. I mean, that's what they mean by investigating it.
They're not even going to do. They're not going to do nothing. They're not even going to investigate it.
And then I won't even get into this because it gets worse. But here's it goes on to say how DoorDash has SafeDash, which is ADT, and it kind of talks about what I've always said about ADT, which is, okay, well, why do you need ADT in the car? Can't you just call 911? Because it literally even says SafeDash includes a number of features, including a safety reassurance call, where a dasher can quickly connect to an ADT agent through the app if they feel unsafe. ADT will remain on the line until the person is safe, or if needed, escalate it to 911. Again, I'm calling 911, guys. I don't need ADT.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you put that confusing thing in there.
I just love how they say that it falls below high standards. I think we can all say what standards.
Well, the other part about that is not putting out a remark for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then that, because it's like, we have your high standards would be to reply 20 minutes after it happened.
There's a lot of things falling below those high standards, it seems.
Yeah.
I
small
figured
business,
anybody in
a small
here
business. Like, if you came and complained at a business about food that you had, and then the manager comes out, they probably would say something like that. But it won't take 2 days to call you and like, yeah, that meal you had fell below our standards. Yeah, it obviously did, right? So it just makes DoorDash look bad, which is a common occurrence sometimes out here.
I know, but the fact that it got escalated from a bot because it said things like emergency room, I would think like the integration of some of these other bots that are supposed to help them, especially the untrained people getting on the phone, would like say, okay, emergency room, car crash, totaled. Like maybe this needs to be escalated to the next level up from me, who will actually talk to the person nicely and have answers.
Yeah.
I like that Nova said maybe support agent got distracted by the rooster in the background.
Come on, Nova.
Well, I have a question.
I agree, man.
I have a question. So you get in a car accident, a bad one. Think about the amount of time from the accident. You have to go to the emergency room. The wife gets there. She meets you. Probably taking a little bit of time to have that happen. So this order's just sitting in his app. Like nobody, wasn't it? Like, I don't, it seems, the story seems weird because like, I would imagine at least 30 minutes has transpired, right? At least. Yeah. So what, like, doesn't the app already cancel it? Wouldn't a customer call?
The customer be like, my food stopped and now it's going the opposite way.
Yeah, right.
I think the customer was already onto it. Like, yeah, I figured something, but like he had the food.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, there's the screenshots on this article of all the text. There's some video out there.
But what about now? But what
then
about
she went to Reddit and like got this whole thing going, and it wasn't a TikTok move, so it was.
But what about now? They have those safety check-ins. Mm-hmm. Do you guys get that in your own area? Like,
Kim, I got it 5 times a day. 5 times a day, Kim.
What's that? What's the?
So
I get nice places
when you actually need them. What?
I get them at the nicest places to drop off. It's never in the ghetto.
No. But wouldn't this be a nice time for it to actually work for this poor guy?
Like I did it at a police department. It says, "Do you feel safe here?" I'm like,
well, I would have answered no. I don't feel safe. Ask me that, but I don't feel safe right now.
I mean, come on now.
Is this a setup? Why are you asking me that?
Yeah, I'm surprised at the guy's work ethic. Kudos to him on that. Unfortunately, it's not a company.
He's
worth
too
doing
nice,
it for.
and he's not. He don't deserve that level of commitment.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God, I gotta deal with this. I gotta deal with this $2 order.
This Chipotle is sitting here next to me. Like,
let's cancel this and eat this. How do I cancel this?
Like gig work mama says she hopes he doesn't get contract violation. Probably will.
That'd be nice.
Was the episode Seinfeld? Like the end gets a contract violation.
Lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. And that actually brings me into this thing. This is a kind of a weird article, you guys. This is so this ex-Grubhub driver in 2015 filed a legal battle in California over $65. And he just won that this week. Now, okay, cool. 8 years to win $65. But in this trial, it was determined he was an employee, and it's kind of a big deal. It has nothing to do with the money, but it's kind of setting a precedent right now that they're dealing with. And of course, there's so much fighting in California about what's going on anyway. But I found that interesting because it's not the 9th district. It's not the one that is holding up Prop 22 and all this and letting Prop 22 go through. It's I was trying to find the Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley. So she's not the one from the 11 or from the district where they've been doing all these Prop 22 rulings, but still, it's a big deal. And the article is posted on ridesharerodeo.com. It's posted in today's articles. You guys can find it. It's called Ex-Grubhub Driver Wins 8-Year Legal Battle in California. And I would recommend taking a look at that because it's got words in here, like game changer. And,
I got to say, how dumb is Grubhub's lawyers for this? Like $65.
Because I think it was about what he was. Dude, I don't think anybody was about the money on this.
Well, it's not about that, but even so,
it was about proving he was an employee.
But they
he only worked
settled
for 3 months too.
But they could have settled it and had him sign something stating he was an employee and got his $65.
Hey man.
Oh, was that the plan? That was his intention from the beginning. When he made that lawsuit, or just to get the $65.
Well, no, I mean, the only thing he's getting.
Well, he was saying that he was making below minimum wage. That's the problem.
Okay, so that was his angle.
Yeah.
Right, but the only thing he got out of it is $65. That's it.
What a waste
and
of time.
How much lawyer fees did he accrue just by going through this 8-year?
They probably got that stuff paid for too. If he wants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is there someone behind this situation?
It doesn't have a stamp of like the gig worker collective or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and like I said, this ruling it isn't going to affect. They might refer to it for future proceedings.
That's what I'm saying.
But as of right now, it doesn't have any direct effect on gig workers. It's just some guy wanting $65.
But Steve, I think Steve thinks it could be a potential problem.
I mean, like they probably paid
a precedent setter.
Right. Grubhub though probably paid $65,000 in lawyer fees from 2015 to now.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't they just give him $65? Like that's the worst decision a company could ever make.
Yeah, especially because we're going back to 2015 when this really wasn't even happening. So it's like, dude, just give him $65 and then deactivate him.
Right.
It would be cheaper just to pay him.
I just think this guy was pushing it. He wanted the attention more than anything. I think he was more about the point.
That could be an aspect to it, yeah.
Even back then, and I know.
But even so, even if you show up to the very first court hearing, and Grubhub tells the judge, "Hey, we offered him the $65," the judge would do it right then and there. That case would be over. The judge isn't going to make him go through a whole trial if Grubhub's trying to pay him what he's asking for.
Yeah.
And so that's like the lawyer fees on the first meeting for Grubhub on this was more than $65.
Well, that's a sad statement right there. I'm sorry to hear this, Jimmy, because we are all about to be employees.
Nah.
I know, but I have been reading. I have better luck on earn by time than on orders.
There's no way I have better luck on earn by time because I can do 2 orders and that makes more than $13 an hour.
So here earn by time. I don't know about I know it's not in every market, but if you guys do have it, here it moves. It's not just a locked 13.
Mine's $13.25 every day, all day.
Oh,
it will go up on DoorDash if there's peak pay. So if there's a $3 peak pay, it's going to go up. If there's like a $4 peak pay, it'll go from 13 to 15.
Yeah,
it'll take half the value of the peak pay and add it to the earn by time. I did a whole week of earn by time, and I made about the same amount of money. So
really?
you're gonna deliver to people that don't tip you because you don't know, but the money for me at least is going to be about the same. But you will probably have more frustration, and you're probably going to drive a little more miles, so your profits will be less. But the money is going to be very, very similar than if you do earn by order.
Well, that's what Jimmy says. He says he's in Pedro's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could say Jimmy's probably pretty accurate.
I wasn't questioning the accuracy. Yeah. I'm just saying that's sad. That is really sad.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like here in Denver, Ron and we all are friends of Solo here, but Ron's running a test with Solo and Solo. So it's like you were saying, Pedro, it's like 13 to 15 or 16 that it'll range from for earn by time.
Mm-hmm.
But Ron Entree Courier has been running a test. And Solo has a guaranteed earning of $12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my market is
they're
$10.
under the lowest earned by time.
Yeah.
I don't
I
have
just-
it in my market yet.
It just blows my mind. I know that's what Solo's trying to do is something much better, and it's like it's 12. It's like, so what is 12 supposed to be the average of the users?
I think so, but I think it's hard to compare what Solo is guaranteeing versus what DoorDash is, right? Because it'll vary market to market anyway. I've seen I've seen as low as $8 and stuff, but I think the earn by time, there's been some people have had good results with it, and like everything, it's so cliche, but it's going to depend on your market, blah blah blah, right? We've all said it a million times, but there are times if you're somebody that has to be out between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. and you switch to earn by time, there could be a benefit to that because you're gonna sometimes make a little more money and or at least guaranteed money, and you don't have to think as much. Like there are a lot of drivers that don't want to have to sit around with 20 apps and do this and do that and cherry pick and sit in a car for 45 minutes. There are a lot of people that I think, and I've been saying this for a while, I think the majority of DoorDash drivers, they want to turn the app on and they keep their acceptance rate very high. And the earn by time is a guarantee for them during a slow time to make some kind of money. And I think some drivers do have some success with it. I've seen it. So,
and I will actually piggyback off that too, especially all these drivers that do Hell Week for Top Dasher and everything. Earn by time's great because you're still going to get that minimum pay, and you're going to accept everything anyways.
Right. And what's going to happen is if you go out for 4 hours,
but while you're on earn by time, does it affect your acceptance rate though?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay.
But if you go out for 4-hour shift, let's say, right, from 12 to 4, okay, so you're going to deliver to some non-tippers as part of it, but you're also going to have orders in there where your base pays higher because maybe you had to wait a little bit or whatever, or there's a peak pay or whatever. And then if there's a good tip attached to that, you're going to have some really good orders that are better on the earned by time than they would have been earned by order. So that's where it begins to balance out. And I've seen it because I've done it. I did it for over 100 deliveries. So
that's what I think I ask you is where the tips. I mean, just in a nutshell. I mean, when the first day I started it, okay, my first day my first order was a $65 Papa John's, and then the next day I had several $20 Papa John runs, all on earn by time, and the base pay on those was more than if I did earn by order. So I'd make a few extra dollars, $2 to $5 extra on the earn by time. And then you also get some crap ones. I did a Wingstop double order, $5. It took me like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something like that. No tip on either. It was a double to the same address. And like, you're going to have that bad stuff. But I believe DoorDash it just balances it out. So I think when DoorDash is telling me in my market, DoorDash drivers make $25 an hour on an active delivery, that's pretty accurate. So I think that a lot of drivers, we have to understand the entry level people that are coming to DoorDash specifically. It's not like Instacart or even Uber or Grubhub or Curry or Rodeo or Shipt or Spark. I think the entry level dashers a little bit lower than that, in my opinion, that's coming into these apps because they accept everybody. And they're just seeing $25 an hour, great. And then they'll make that or less. And so a lot of people are coming from a job that they were making $15 an hour. So now they're driving a car, they're making 18 or 20, not realizing there's more cost in that, but they're still happy. And I think that is the average DoorDash driver that's coming in. It's brand new. And I think they're okay with that. And I think DoorDash knows that and they play to that. Yeah. I literally expected day one just to be like, okay, all the no tip orders go to these guys.
No, I didn't. That was not my experience. I thought that too. And I was wrong. Yeah.
And why would anyone do it if they're just going to get the absolute worst of everything by you opting in? And for the earn by time, you can't decline more than one order. An hour?
They're just said it here. You can do two.
Mine's two in my market, 2 per hour.
Well, mine, I can decline one. Yeah. And then once I decline the second one, then I have to go to earn by order. Correct.
So really you can only decline one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the way people get around, there's other ways. You could accept an order, drop it. Like there's ways to go around that. There's tactics to it. There's levels to it. Yeah.
I mean, same way you do the Top Dasher. If you're really close, accept, unassign.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, to me, I'm really shocked to learn that because from what I've heard about most of the markets, it's pretty much they all run around the same number that Gary threw out as the only number he sees. Like they're around $13.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's 13.25 all the time. That's what their guarantee is. Now you get that plus the tips, though. I believe I haven't done earn by time yet.
And in my market where we have a lot of peak pay at nighttime, like late night, like let's say past 9:30, I'm not out usually at that time, but a lot of drivers in my market tell me, yeah, McDonald's, Taco Bell, the long wait restaurants. So if you have a full
that makes sense.
$3 peak pay or whatever, now you go to earn by time, you're going to get extra money with the peak pay, and then you're going to get paid more on the base pay because you're waiting. And if a customer tipped a little bit, that order becomes very juicy, right? So you could easily do 2 runs an hour and make $20-25 and maybe only drive 4 or 5 miles. A lot of people are fine with that. And I think that's, so situationally, there's times throughout the day. I would never really use it during peak dinner, peak lunch, but at late night, I think a lot of drivers have success with it as well because of the wait times.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, John Lopez here says his mark, and John, is yours Chicago, I think, but he says $10 unearned by time.
That's terrible.
I mean,
he's got to be in a smaller market than Chicago if it's $10.
Yeah, John, I thought, or no, it's not John. It's
Johan.
Okay, yeah, I know a John Lopez too. Sorry about that. I don't know what market he is in. Then I'm interested to know what is paying $10 an hour.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Of the earned by time, but
Dallas. Yeah. He's in Dallas.
Again,
really? Dallas is big, man. I would definitely expect them to be. I mean, Oklahoma City's 13.25. Dallas is bigger than Oklahoma City.
Yeah, $10 is crazy.
Yeah. Do they go by cost of living though? Depending on your area.
It's cheaper to live in Oklahoma City than it is Dallas. Dallas is expensive.
Yeah. Dallas Fort Worth is very expensive. And Fort Worth is the cheaper side, but it's still very expensive.
Yeah.
Gary, what is this thing that I pulled up? Because I'm reading it kind of weird, this arbitration thing.
What do you mean? You're reading it weird? What are you reading it weird? It's clear as day. Uber drivers are not interstate workers exempt from arbitration. U.S. court rules.
I know. U.S. court rules, though. I mean, this is a big deal.
What are you confused about, though?
Because it took this long to get a judge to any court to rule this.
No, what this is saying is that we're not exempt from bringing our legal disputes in private arbitration, which means that we can't just say, "Oh no, we're interstate workers. You can't force us in arbitration." That's what this is saying. Which whenever that happens,
in most cases.
Yeah, in most cases, which opens up companies to class action lawsuits. Yeah. So that means that, one lawyer can go find 20 people, all 20 can sue DoorDash or Uber or whatever, and then get a bigger settlement out of it. What this ruling here is saying is that we're not exempt from that. So it is legal for them to put us into arbitration because we do not cross state lines when delivering passengers. Only 2% of Ubers across the whole United States go across a state line.
Yep.
And so even though if you take out the interstate part of it, the actual highways, the most of the job is just like any other delivery job there is. And so
I'm just saying this took them a long time to find this angle. This is an interesting angle because, I wasn't even really.
Oh, hold on, my son's calling.
I can take that.
Yay.
Is this in terms of the benefit of the drivers? Is this better, good, positive? Does it
this is what drivers have wanted. We've wanted the right to be able to take on the companies and not have to only do class actions and sit around and see if nothing happens ever.
Right.
It gives, I guess it gives the drivers the right to do it, but now it becomes like, okay, it's one of those be careful what you wish for, because how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to, because now you're not talking about like doing a class action, so you got to pay the lawyer, you got to pay.
That's what I was going to say. So the idea of, okay, that's a great idea, but who comes in with the money to start it? Usually someone from a union or some kind of union back something. It's like, hey guys, we should do this, and the driver's like, yeah, we should. Who's going to pay? It's like, hey, I'm from this union. You want to join us, and we'll get the lawyers, and we'll go after it. And I think a lot of us are not trying to get into the unions in terms of gig work, so it can get a little dicey to afford lawyers because lawyers are expensive. I should have been a lawyer.
Yeah,
I
mean, unless you got a pro bono one, and I know even like legal rideshare and some of those have really kind of moved away from like deactivation and this type stuff. They're not going to get involved. They're more looking to just deal with the accidents or some of the things that happen in the cars where people hurt other people. But I don't know. I just found it interesting because it is a new ruling, and it can affect things because already it's giving them. I mean, there's a judge who's given them the right to do this, and since 2009 we've been told no, you cannot do this in every state, and every state shot it down every time it's been talked about. So it is something. I mean, where it goes, I don't know. But while we still have a little time here, we got to get to John because John's stories are I know they were aimed at me, so and I want to hear everything.
So I got a couple good ones. So Steve loves his robots. He loves the coming of Skynet and all that. So in Arizona, we recently have a couple of restaurants in the East Valley. I think they're in the Mesa or Gilbert area. But they're starting to deliver food by drones out here. So I think there's like a Tokyo Joe's, there's like a juice bar, and I forgot what the third restaurant is. I don't think it's like a pizza joint or anything like that. But I think it's generally small orders. And it's like to a 1 mile radius. But the point is that Arizona, there's actually, now that they have these out there in the East Valley, in the West Valley, they also got some of the Walmart drone deliveries as well. So Arizona's becoming the frontier for drones out here, kind of starting to encroach on my territory.
We need drones in Colorado. we need them there.
Yes, we
delivering
do.
To
Yes,
Steve.
We get about the robots at ASU as well. Yeah,
we got. I don't know how John doesn't get this too, but we have the Rockies come right up. It's a little different where John is, but John does get the high wind situation that I get too. Though I don't know how they would ever do drones where John is or where I am, because I can have like gale force winds come through here at 120 miles an hour.
They'll figure it out.
The robots
eventually.
in your area. I mean, robots going right to your door. It's right up your alley.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm gonna end the robot. I'm gonna.
The second Colorado has some kind of automation, I'm ordering something and having it delivered to Steve's house. And I'm doing that for sure. 100%.
Hey man, I rode an autonomous in Vegas.
I saw that.
And
so that's kind of funny. That kind of goes back to the second story about Phoenix.
Right. This one's sad, you guys. This is sad. I mean, I feel really bad for. I can't even remember her name right now. It's been a minute, but this is finally coming to fruition. The Uber that hit and killed the Uber autonomous that hit and killed the pedestrian in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. We talked about this a while back where they're
a couple of years.
They're pushing it to right, but they're pushing it onto the driver and totally pulling themselves away.
See, I didn't see that part of it.
And where John lives, Phoenix is Maricopa County, and Maricopa County, they're moving it to like some very little county next door because they feel like too many people will have input. I believe that would help the driver.
Hey Steve, can we mute Gary real quick? I think he's on a hot mic.
Yeah.
Or is he coming back? There we go. Anyways, but yeah, the other thing about Arizona, so not only did they have the autonomous car that that whole thing that killed somebody, just this weekend there was a whole traffic jam full of specifically autonomous cars in Phoenix. They all clustered at one intersection, and I would say there was like 10, 11, 12 of them. It was like somebody, I don't know how, got them all to come to one place and cause this whole traffic jam.
Steve? Was it Steve?
He hacked it. Yeah,
he hacked it. Yeah.
But I mean, now the lady who was sitting in that autonomous car she's going to trial, and it starts in June. I mean, this was how many years ago was it, John? 4, 5?
I was like
19,
probably 4 or 5. Yeah.
I mean, this
2018.
Yeah, I mean, this is so long ago, and finally they're going to.
She beats the case, though. I think she's going to beat it. I think there's no way that's going to.
Dude, she was being paid what, $22 an hour? Like,
But wasn't there something that initially she was like looking at a phone or something? I think they were trying to say that she was distracted.
Okay,
I'm
what
lost. Hold on, I'm lost. So
Okay.
you were talking autonomous, but then there was a driver, so I'm confused.
Okay, let me
it was
run this
monitored.
down.
It was beta mode autonomous is what it was. There was somebody in the driver's seat monitoring the vehicle working.
Here, I can give.
She wasn't
This is a brief rundown I can give him. Okay, so an Arizona Uber driver involved in the first death connected to a fully autonomous vehicle will be tried in June on a negligent homicide charge. Rafaela Vasquez, 49, previously had been scheduled for trial next month. Trial next month in 2018. In the 2018 crash that killed 49-year-old Elena Herzberg. And if you guys don't know, it was a dark road, and the lady was not in a crosswalk, and she was crossing with a bike, but these cars don't work, so they killed her. But she was walking across with a bicycle outside of Tempe, so Vasquez, who had pleaded not guilty to the charge, told the police that it came out of nowhere and that she didn't see her prior to the collision. Authorities say Vasquez was streaming the television show The Voice on a phone and looking downward in the moments before it collided with the lady. But Vasquez's attorney said the client was looking at a messaging activity used by Uber employees on a work cell phone that sat on her right knee. The Voice was playing on Vasquez's personal cell phone, which was sitting on the passenger seat. So prosecutors declined to file criminal charges against Uber in the death because the safety board concluded that the main cause of the crash was Vasquez's failure to monitor the road. So the crash in Arizona wasn't the first involving Uber Autonomous.
Sorry,
but so no, you're good. But so and that's it. I can't believe that there's been a safety board. There's been this. There's been that, and they all say no. Let's try her, not Uber.
If she has a really good lawyer, she should be able to get out of this.
I actually
but also
I don't. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying the battle is what she was looking at on her phone. Even though again it's all supposed to be autonomous, but if she's looking at the voice, listening to the voice, then you're supposed to be paying attention to the road, compared to monitoring the messages that you're supposed to be doing, right? So that's the only contention I can see.
Well, I think
I'm not an attorney, but I got to argue the point of shouldn't Uber have taken her phone? You don't have a phone on you, do you? You're going to be responsible.
That's why I don't see how they can charge her though. I mean, even if she's watching the road, we heard before that she's not allowed to intervene with the vehicle.
Right.
Like that was said before.
She just uses the testing screen.
Right. That's all she does is she uses that testing screen. Hi. She can't hear us though. She can't hear us. So how are we gonna say hi back?
It doesn't matter. She's still
say hi. So even
sorry guys,
so,
I'm a dad first. Sorry.
I get it. So am I. I just ran off this live stream talking to my son. He graduates in 8 days, by the way, guys. 8 days.
Nice, man.
Boot camp, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was calling to make sure I knew where to pick up the graduation tickets.
Awesome.
So and to tell me that he flew past his final physical test, no problem. So
that's awesome.
Nice. Congrats,
but yeah, I don't see how they can charge her though, because Uber said that even though she was in the vehicle, she's not allowed to intervene with the vehicle, how it acts, reacts, anything like that. The only thing she can do is monitor your screen. So what's she gonna do? Go, oh shit, there's a guy.
Yeah.
And watch the car hit it.
There's not an override though. There's not some kind of like override or something because she's
from
in the
what
car.
we know. There
has
not.
to be. I would. Think
Well, I mean, I mean, when I rode the autonomous in Vegas, there were two people up front who actually one's an engineer. One of them was actually sitting there. We're just watching the car. She had no training. She's just sitting there, and she has a screen that she's interacting with. And actually, the screen was like to the side too, so it's not even in front. So you're looking out the window and at the screen. It's like you have to turn and do this, so you're not paying attention if you're looking at the screen.
Well, I hate to say this, but I know Steve's not going to like this. But the more, this woman, or I think somebody lost their life, so that's obviously the biggest deal here.
Yeah.
Right. But the more mistakes that happen, the faster it's going to be that they're going to figure it out. So I don't think autonomous is going. I think I just came from Herbivore. Me and Hannibal saw.
Oh, it's not going anywhere. It's just not. It's coming, but it's also not going anywhere quick.
Yeah. I don't think they're as far along as they probably projected, but I don't feel like they're stopping the money flow of trying to figure it out.
No.
And by doing that is by putting all the blame on this person, right? Because it's about the money. They can't say it's our fault. It's this person's fault. That's it's just throwing her to the side.
I don't even think it's just about the money. I think that if they get accused of it, or convicted of it, whatever it may be, then they'll lose all their permits and licensing to do all this testing.
Yeah. Is there a civil suit with the person who passed away suing Uber, like the family,
if I remember right, she was homeless. And I don't even know. There are some family members who are wanting to get in on this, but I don't think they had anything to do with her.
The lady that lost her life was homeless, you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's terrible. But we should definitely keep in track on this trial. I think because what you're setting here, like, why would I ever do this? Work for Uber and like, can you get in this autonomous? No.
Oh, there you go.
No,
JP
I'm not.
says Uber already paid the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that might be right.
Almost civil charge. Yeah.
They did what Gary was talking about earlier. They got their papers signed away.
Right.
They're good. They're out of the mix, kind of thing. But I don't know. I still feel like their death trap put this woman in there for $22 an hour, and she clicked. Yeah, okay, I agree. And she got into the car, and I mean, I guess know what you've agreed to and stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like their product should work. I feel like they, if she, like, why is there an engineer and a driver in the car now, and they don't even run them much? When they've backtracked that much since in the last 5 years, or they were just letting random people run them before. I don't know. It seems like they got. I guess my point is, it seems like they got a little cocky 5 years ago, and we're like, yeah, we'll just let drivers do it.
Why don't they just do what they did in Total Recall, where it's like a little guy like in there driving you around? You guys
that was a robot,
like a Johnny Cab.
Yeah, Johnny Cab. This is Johnny Cabs.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger grabbed it, ripped it out of the socket, and it exploded for some reason.
I have a big thing that maybe you haven't heard, Pedro. But before, as we wrap this up here, I'll point it out that maybe everybody needs to consider this. We've talked about it. How often after every ride does the autonomous, after it does work, go and get cleaned? Because there's going to be sex in it, there's going to be puke in it, there's going to be drug use in it. You're going to have a kid that gets in after like a heroin session. There's going to be needles on the floor.
You have to be pretty nasty to have sex in one of those
Steve goes extreme, doesn't
he? Yeah, the most disgusting scenarios.
Babies are being born.
You know what, though, Steve? I thought that about the New York City subway too. I thought it'd be the same way, and they were pretty clean actually.
I mean, the cops can't pull them over. They tried. I've seen many videos of them trying to direct the vehicle, and the robot's like, "I'm not listening to you." Like,
you have no authority over me.
That's funny.
I guess
kind of goes back to that old saying, iRobot. We've all seen that movie.
Yes.
The robot can't be responsible for a person's death. It's a robot.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
I'm just saying that's what they're gonna push. It's not murder. It's not anything like that. It's an accident when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
A robot had a technical error. It didn't do it on purpose, but the person in the car can be held responsible.
Do you think robots would be more safe versus humans overall? Because as humans, we crash cars every single day.
Yes.
So,
if every car in the United States was linked on some sort of system, we would have safer roadways.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Can we just get tracking things put in our heads too at the same time?
It's coming, man. It's coming.
No, it's just serious. If you have the failure rate versus computers to human error is so far off.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we hear a lot about, autonomous this or, things like that. But look up how many regular crashes, how many regular people hit people on the road every day.
Yeah.
It's way far more than any autonomous vehicle's ever done.
But Gary, you and I both know that not only is the technology so far off, the biggest problem, the biggest one is that the infrastructure is way far off.
Yeah, our roads are terrible. Our roads are terrible. We're not even close to having suitable roads for these cars.
That's the biggest issue.
Human errors for one. We can't have autonomous mixed in with human drivers. We just can't. Human drivers pay less attention to the road than anything else out there.
Human drivers do things autonomous.
Yeah, what that robot just said.
Yeah, John sounds like a robot now. What's going on? He's taking over everything.
Did they take over
Did
John?
Skynet just hack you, John?
Look, I think he's frozen. Look.
Oh, yeah, froze. Hopefully he'll come back in.
He's showing his true self.
Yeah, but I think once we get to a society where we have more autonomous cars on the road versus human drivers, our fatalities on the road will go way down. Our DUIs, accidents, all that stuff will go way down.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think once we're to that point, when is that point?
Not right now.
No. 10 years at least before we even have anything even close.
And even in 10 years, it'll be one lane on the highway that's designated to
dedicated autonomous lane.
And going back to what Steve said, the arrogance of the people who are creating it. Well, like you said before, they didn't have an engineer in the car. They thought this is so good, we'll just have a regular Uber driver. And now 49-year-old woman have to deal with this. Hopefully she doesn't get convicted because it is a part of the system. She didn't design this autonomous vehicle, so she has no idea how to program it, how it is working. And now because she looked down her phone and saw something, now she's being blamed for a person.
Do we even know what she was looking at her phone on or for what?
Well, that's what
voice.
I was just reading was that, you weren't here, but we went through it again. She had the voice on, but it was on the passenger seat. What she was interacting with was the Uber thing.
Yeah.
But they were listening. Here's my thing. If you saw her on her phone, why wouldn't you just shut the car down?
Yeah.
And then speak to her and say, hey, you can't be on your phone.
Or Tesla. Look at Teslas. Remember whenever I test drove both the Teslas in Colorado whenever I came up there? The moment I raised my hands this high, the Tesla started beeping at me.
Yeah.
Why couldn't their cars do that?
Right.
It started giving me what Tony call them points or something like that. You're hitting my rating points or something like. I guess if you have so many negative points with the autonomous Teslas that they take it away from you.
What?
Yeah.
They take away you can't update your beta mode. You can't,
F that. I don't want that car. I got time for
Yeah.
Listen, we just need to go back to horses and buggies.
Yeah, that's you.
I know.
I don't know.
John, blink your eyes if you're really human.
Yeah, John,
Are you human? You sound like a little robot. Did Terminator come in and take over you?
I think they didn't want me to get the truth out there.
They didn't want the truth. Skynet shut you down.
Yeah, I heard their name.
So, you guys, that's about all I had. I did not want to get into political stuff since we had been doing it for the last couple of weeks and needed to step away. So.
He didn't want to have a heated discussion with me.
No, I don't want to have a discussion right now. I've literally lost part of my brain over this, and wrapping my head around all the different sides of it, and then hearing everybody's opinions too. That I keep reading in the chats. That I'm just like I can see everybody's point, but it's just crazy. But I do. Let me say at least one thing. I want to see what Pedro thinks of this because there's legislation all over the country. Are you familiar with what's going on in Colorado?
I'll just say no. I'll say
our
no.
Our legislation is pushing for no numbers. There's a gig worker who was elected to
I know
the
about
House.
that. Yeah,
okay,
I know about
so it's her first year. She wrote this legislation,
Mhm.
and as long as there's no backdoors, as long as there's no craziness behind it, I'm all for it because unlike every other state writing in money amounts like Connecticut, $36 an hour for active time, $1.30 a mile, never going to work. But this one just says transparency complete. Everything you need as the driver to accept, and transparency to the customer after the fact. A breakdown, line item breakdown of the receipt.
Sounds fantastic to
So
me.
that they can start seeing they've been paying their drivers $2.
In my opinion, I think transparency starts with the consumer. That's my opinion. I think they need to be a little more transparent with them. I think that would then trickle down to helping dashers. But I think that if it's just transparency, if you give me mileage, item, subtotal, the true amount, don't hide tips, don't hide any information.
Don't hold an acceptance rate against you.
Don't hold. Yep. I mean, I don't even. Yeah. But the transparency piece, if you had that, I think it would make this job, this gig, just a lot more freeing, more fair. It would help the consumer.
It would end a lot of the lawsuits. It would.
So if there's not a monetary thing, and you said Colorado, right?
Yeah, and the only other thing that they want in this bill is that everybody has the right to appeal a deactivation.
Man.
No other state's going at it.
But this is the start of the bill, though.
Yeah, that's the start. So who knows how long it would take, right? Or if it would even.
Or we know politics. What do they have to give up long term to get this?
Well, that's what I just said, though. I said no trap doors, no back room dealings, no crap.
Because one thing we can count on is who else is backing this bill with her.
One of the one senator and
the one other senator and the one other.
But that's
House
how they
member.
start. You start with a House or one or two House
but
members.
They're going to want something in return later.
Yeah.
That's how these politicians work. They don't just go, and especially since she's new, she needs somebody to help her get this stuff through.
See, I think, since you asked me, Steve, I am very leery and not very optimistic or positive when I see elected government officials trying to make a name for themselves or try to pass this or pass that on the backs of drivers. If anything, I would like all of it to be out of the gig economy and leave me alone and let me make my money and for how long I want to do it. I don't want this person, this state does this does that. Let's do this. Let's try this. I just think it's a recipe for disaster. In my opinion, I don't want government in food delivery. I just don't. I don't see the need, because for me, I think it helps the minority amount of people and it hurts the majority.
And the very minority too.
Yeah, so for
we're
me,
talking such a minority.
Yeah, I just I get it. There are some drivers I do think that are having a hard time to make ends meet, depending on where they're at, and the gig apps can take advantage of some people. I do believe that, but I am we got to start taking that control and personal responsibility back. And if you're in your car 80 hours a week and you're making $500, that's on you. And I hate to be that blunt, but that's how I feel about it. So I don't want an elected official that used to be a gig economy worker coming in trying to save the world and for a McDonald's order. I just don't see. I think the resources are being misused, and I don't see the real benefit of it, in my opinion. But
the only reason I think this is why I like this, because there's going to be legislation in every state. So let's have one state stand up for it correctly and not push about all this. Why should Connecticut drivers are going to be paid 350% of their minimum wage plus $1.30 a mile? That just makes that on no level makes sense to me. But I believe that same as you, not only once you start legislation, I feel sadly we're at a point where there needs to be a definition to a hybrid gig economy or something that takes it away from the traditional portion. But once you open the door to legislation, it never can be shut.
Well, and they want taxes. I think a lot of people that do this work don't pay the appropriate or any tax at all. So they see billions of dollars not being taxed, and they see people that used to have a W-2 and they were feeding into the tax system, and now they're not. So I think that's part of it. I think that's why you have certain legislations in the labor division got involved, or labor department. So there's just a lot of different. There's a lot of different levels to this, but it's I
agree though that overall I've said no legislation. And now I'm not even sure if it's legislation. I just know there needs to be a definition. There needs to be a definition to the gig economy, because what they're doing is what AB5 did, and they're killing off 3 million careers that aren't even app based stuff, because this is who they want to attack. And so we need to be our own defined sector, because nobody's ever did that. And maybe that's not even regulation. Maybe it's just, hey, this is what this is. Here's how you're going to pay your taxes. Here's how it's going to work. But nobody ever did that. And so now here we are years later, and they're like, all right, well, let's just all do different things and see what works.
Yeah. It's just that we're trying. I feel like we have these resources, and we spend so much time on this type of the gig economy, food delivery specifically, and like there's just like a lot of other things happening, right? So it's like we're trying to I don't know. It's just weird. It's gonna hurt It's gonna hurt like all of us who do this, and I mean, I don't know if all of you are paying your tax. I paid my taxes, so I mean, or got an extension or whatever you did. It's a lot better than if they kill all the gig economy jobs, because they're not creating any.
I just told them to send you my tax bill, Steve. I just said send it to Steve.
Really, that's funny. I told them to send it to Gary.
Oh, well, then I'll just route yours to Steve too.
That's it. But I want to thank Pedro for joining us. I want to thank everybody else for being here as always, and I want to thank everybody who joined us in the chat.
Wait, you're not going to pressure him? Really? We have him here.
Who, me?
Yeah.
We talked before you got here.
We talked. Yeah, we're gonna get together. Trust me, it's gonna be a collective.
Yeah, we got an idea, but I don't know if it would be right to spit it out yet, because it's not percolated.
No, it hasn't percolated.
It's still cooking. You can't take it out yet.
It's cooking. I got the it's steaming. You don't want to open the oven up and open up the lid. You got to let it do its thing, and then it's ready for everybody.
Makes sense.
Okay.
But thank you everybody, and hey guys, if he's still going, make sure you go over and check out Dashing Grandpa. He's always a calming way to kind of wind down the night, and I'm glad he does it after us now, so it kind of allows me to go catch the last little bit of it.
Yeah, when we finally finish.
Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us, and I'll be gone this weekend, but I will be doing Driver Nation with Gary tomorrow, and then I'll be back after the weekend. So all right, guys, we'll see you soon. Peace.
Well, midnight headlight, blindly on a rainy night. Steve laid up ahead, slow me down and making no time. Gotta keep on rolling. Goes a windshield.